Hi, everyone. It's Karen with Mind Dynamics Coaching, and I'm doing a talk today on trying to get myself better positioned for lighting. We changed our offices, and so this room has different lighting. I'm going to have to arrange something. Anyway, today's talk is on when walls come tumbling down. And or you can also say when that's better. When the tower crashes. And in this case, we're going to talk about towers that are made on really false foundations, like a false sense of self that comes from the ego. And when you are going through all the changes that you desire to have, often, if not all the time, people have major disruptions in their lives because the foundation of their life was based on the false assumptions of themselves that they are letting go of. And this is good. This is very good. I can't even count how many times my tower has crumbled. And hell, in the last 4 years, it's crumbled a couple of times. And it's an awakening. It's nothing to be afraid of. You're not going to be harmed. It is an internal reevaluation, and you just have to let things go apart. You have to. You cannot sustain a false identity and have your true identity come forth. It's impossible. And so, what I want to tell you to do is to allow it to happen. In fact, I'm a really good person about allowing. I don't pre-plan my day. There are certain things that I schedule to do. If they don't happen, I don't get upset or think that I'm a disappointment or that I've disappointed anyone. Just didn't get done. If I didn't can yesterday, I didn't can yesterday. So this can be a disconcerting, discombobulating experience. I want to talk about it so that you know that this is normal. If you don't have a crash, it's abnormal. I mean, a real crash. And what you're doing in the best case scenario, if you do not have a crash, is you're just making little adjustments in your life, which is having great effects, and you're enjoying your life and yourself, but you're not stepping out of your comfort zone. And normally, with a coaching client like that, I tap them on the shoulder until they start listening because what they want is a big transition. And it's a person who wants to remain the same but have things different. Doesn't work like that. So during a time where the walls are crumbling, um, things won't work the way they did. If you're used to going to the bank, as an example, you go into the same bank every single week to make a deposit. You'll walk in, and no one there will be who you recognize because you started shifting. And when you shift, life is different. Or they will be the same. Some people will be the same, and they will treat you entirely different. This is telling you a big shakeup is coming your way. Don't judge them. Don't get upset. Don't react. Just step back a little bit and say, okay, I've been working really hard on all of my mantras and affirmations and standing on one foot and drinking water through my nose. And so it's right that things should happen. And you've taken some risks and you've let go of a lot of things. Manifesting is the art of letting go. I want to emphasize that. You have to let go. So it's all generating a big change, and your old structure, who you are, can no longer be sustained. And then all of a sudden, a big shift happens. Could be divorce. Your husband and you are supposedly happy. He comes home and says, by the way, I'm having an affair and I want a divorce. And your entire life changes within a blink of an eye. Now, the best scenario in that situation is for you to sit down, sit back, and say, okay, what do I want? And if you honestly assess where you're at in the relationship, you're probably ready for the change. Another thing that could happen would be you win a lottery. Not the mega. Let's just say $500,000. That could last me for a week, the way I spend money. And I'd share it with 100 of my friends. So it would be a total reevaluation of how you handle money. And so the old system of managing money would crumble. You're a totally different person with that kind of money. The problem with people going through all of these changes is they don't want to go through the pain. Um, what I'm going to say might not be pleasant, but growth causes pain. And pain is your recognition that you are resisting love in a specific way in a part of your life. And the best thing I could advise any of my clients is to open yourself up and just accept what's happening right now. And yes, it's painful, but allow more love to come into your life. And it will by you giving it. Okay? You allow love by giving it, because as you give it, you see it within yourself, and you're in the process of allowing the experience of love to happen between you and another person. And you will automatically allow that to happen, and it will heal you. So when your fortress of solitude is coming apart, as an example, for those of you who are starting to come out and be a part of society, um, shake your head and say, that's no longer me. And yes, it will be painful because it's a part of you. And we don't easily let go. And there's going to be some hurt feelings, maybe. You'll get over that, hopefully, especially under my tutelage. And you just have to. It's imperative that you just allow this to happen. If you do not, it's going to be mighty tough on you. And a lot of people go through that. They would rather have it rough than accept their old life is in ruins, and to let go of that and to accept the better life that they've wanted. And it will probably have different actors in it. During COVID, I wanted exactly what I got. And I really thrived during COVID. I came out of that better off than what I went into it. And 3 of my jobs, my careers, went down the drain temporarily. So I had very little income, supposedly, but I was totally supported. And I came out of that with a lot more money than when I went in. But during the process of going through COVID, which really took a lot of people's old life and crumbled it, I lost 5 best friends. And I had to let it go. I was no longer the person that they knew me as, and they no longer fit my new script. And I was transitioning into a better one. And so I had to let go. And does it sting anymore? No, it doesn't. I take a look at that old Karen and I go, well, she needed to change, and she did change, and she changed in wonderful ways. And during COVID, where people were locked away, uh, I did what I did. I was out and about, and yes, I took precautions to fit into society. And I traveled interstate. I had a doctor's pass, and I could go anywhere I wanted. It was really nice. So during the process of things falling apart, there are good things also. Look for them, and you'll find them. Um, Resistance will make things worse. If you're in a relationship where you've had problems and they're not being addressed, or they are being addressed through maybe a therapist, but nothing is changing, you're resisting the truth about the relationship, that the relationship has ended. You two have grown together for 10, 12 years, or in my case, 4.5, and it's time to part. It's time to strike out in a different way without this person. And feelings of guilt come up, feelings of trying to make it work. Please don't. Don't do that. And then, of course, the old excuse of not making a change in your life is because we have kids. Believe me, I was in a family that used that as an excuse not to get divorced. No, we weren't happy as kids in in a family where the father and mother should not have been together. We wanted them to go their separate ways. Mom had a boyfriend, and she also had alcoholic issues. So when the big crash happens, you can contact me. I'm always available. Um, and the way you do that is through Facebook Messenger. I give one free 15-minute coaching call. You can also sign up for, I think I have 28 different 100-day support programs. Each one is there are some that are less than 100 days, and those are less money. But my 100-day programs are $150, and I have a budget pay program set up for that. Um, and one of the programs that strikes me as appropriate for this call is What About Me? If you are a mother, a wife, a caretaker, and you've lived that life for many years, What About Me is the program I would put you in. And many people find themselves in that position. And maybe the wall that crumbled down is the death of a person who you've taken care of. Your identity is all about taking care of them. Your wall will crumble down when they pass on. And so you're faced with a life without all of that. It's now time for you to have a life for yourself. And there's a whole lot of guilt attached to that. So that's what I would recommend. you could be a boss of a part of a company, and that company goes belly up overnight. You're called, and your boss says, "By the way, don't even come in because we closed the doors." You've worked there for 20 years. That would be a shocker. That's another way that the tower crumbles. And I'm gonna tell you the truth about towers crumbling. Um, you have that that happens not because it just happens. It's been building up for a very long time. And you didn't acknowledge in this case about the company closing that you really wanted to take and do something different. It was time for you to venture out on your own, but you were scared to do it. So this builds up, and builds up, and then you wake up to the call, don't come in. So for you to make it through all of these shocks again, you have to accept it. And you have to realize that this has been building up for a very long time and that you have to be courageous and say, okay, this was a shocker, landing me on my ass. And it's time for me to pick myself up and do that something that I really wanted to do. And this is your sign. You talk about signs all the time. This is your sign. I wouldn't even clean up the debris. I would just go like that, maybe gather some personal items that were scattered around with the wall crashing, and I would take off in the direction I wanted, maybe move to another state, maybe take that college course you've always wanted to do, maybe dance classes, maybe ballroom dancing. You always wanted a ballroom dance. And the boyfriend that just left you could care less about ballroom dancing. And after you stop sobbing about him leaving and your life totally being ruined, which of course isn't true, but that's how you experience it. You wake up and you say, "Oh my gosh, I always wanted to have somebody in my life that wanted to ballroom dance." And you go, "This is now the time to do that." And so you make your list of aspects that you want in a mate. You check down all the aspects, make sure that you have those aspects also. You have your own home, you have a good amount of savings, or whatever those aspects are. I made a 14-point aspect list before I met my SP, my ex SP, and he matched every single one of them. And after I got that list, I met him 2 days later. And in those 2 days, he was within a quarter mile away from me. I mean, when it's time, it's time. And when we met, we knew. It was wonderful for 4.5 years. And then I moved beyond. So, and that was a tower that crashed for me. Another one is me having to move from a house that I'd lived in 18 years, for 18 years. That was a big change. And, boy, that crashed and burnt really fast. However, in that case, I wanted something better, and I knew that my choice of moving out of that house was in my best interest and for the best interest of my new family. So, I want you to, um, go about and recommit to what you want in your life. And I want you to know that during that process of becoming the new you, the old you has to die. And often it's with a crash like that. It's a healing process. Take it that way, loves. Okay? I will talk to you next Wednesday. Thank you for watching this. Bye now.